Thank you, Chairman Davison, for letting me wave into this very timely and important hearing. And I want to thank our witnesses for being with us today. I represent California. Unfortunately, in my home state of California, there are misguided policies from Sacramento and the state's insurance commissioners. Due to those, they have recently forced major insurers to exit the California insurance market. As a result, my office has received numerous phone calls, messages saying that the cost of insuring homes is simply unbearable and unaffordable. The less competition and less players in the insurance market is pushing premiums go up and forcing people into California's FAIR plan, which is more costly than private plans and does not provide comprehensive coverage. Mr. Gordon, I want to ask you, you know about California Insurance Commissioner Lara. He said recently that he will continue to partner with all those who want to work toward real solutions. And so with that, can you update the committee on any new agreements made between State of California and stakeholders since Mr. Lara's announcement regarding policy changes to state insurance policy?
There was a very strong effort by the California legislature to create some fixes. Those fell apart at the last minute as their effort to add more mandates and prohibitions on non-renewals. A lot of the problems, frankly, are created at the regulatory levels. I mentioned going 30 months without approving a single private passenger auto rate increase at a time of record inflation. So I think the governor and the commissioner now recognize there needs to be fixes. They've both committed to doing it. Although some of those fixes are going to take a while, they're targeting the end of 2024 to get some of those new improved regulations in place, meaning they would take effect in 2025. That's a long time in a deteriorating marketplace to get fixes in place.
Yeah, you were talking about the 35-year-old regulatory framework, right? Obviously, we agree it needs to be acted upon and upgraded, so that, because my fear is that since it's taking too long, even though Commissioner Lara is saying all these policy recommendations, the next state commissioner could rescind policy changes. So we do agree that there needs to be a legislative fix. But another problem that we're seeing in the state of California is the broken FAIR plan, which, as you mentioned in your testimony, already has a large deficit. So can you describe the FAIR plan's assessment process and how it ultimately increases prices for households who buy insurance in the private market?
Yeah, the FAIR plan is horribly underfunded, as most government programs ultimately tend to be, particularly for insurance. And insurers are, any excess losses that the FAIR plan has, there's a whole layer of assessment that go to private insurers, and they're not allowed any mechanism to recoup that. That was something in the legislative process they knew needs to be fixed. And so what that means is, if there's a big wildfire in California, and a lot of the wildfire most high-risk areas are areas with a disproportionate concentration of FAIR plan policyholders, that means the private insurers who haven't withdrawn from the market are going to get left with that bigger and bigger tab. And so that's spreading those costs because insurers have to make sure they're collecting enough money to cover all of those additional expected liabilities and exposure. So those who are staying in California have to collect more and more for that exposure. That is a ticking time bomb that I know the legislature and the commissioner are hoping to fix.
Thank you for mentioning that because, again, I represent a community that is very wildfire prone and we need to do something about it. So obviously, California needs to do something more to mitigate those wildfires and with the active management tools. So thank you for mentioning that. Mr. Nutter, you said something very interesting in your oral statement, that insurers are not required to buy reinsurance, yet they do it. So why do they do it? And how is California's Prop 103 impacting the reinsurance market that we talked about?
Yes, thank you for the question. They buy reinsurance largely to manage where they have a significant concentration of a peril, in your case wildfire, or where the capital support for the company is enhanced by the role of reinsurance plays. The issue that I'd highlight for Prop 103 that you're referring to is largely that it has caused the insurance department not to take into consideration the future risk associated with that and to look at solutions, perhaps community-based solutions that would find both mitigation and financial recovery as part of that.
Thank you. My time's up. Thank you.